Welcome to Voices of Care, real stories to inspire, uplift, and unite caregivers, with Maggie Linton and Carl Powell. Enjoy the conversation.
Welcome, folks. It's so good to see everybody today, and even more so to see my dear friend, Monica Morton. She is a woman who was born with a purpose, found out what it was early in life, and the rest has been guided through, I'd say, acts of God. Monica, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. I'm so excited to be with you.
Well, listen, let's talk about that pivotal moment in your very early life that got you onto the role of a lifetime, which is investigations in private eye. Tell me
So,
about the bicycle. I mean, the tricycle.
the bicycle. Okay, so I am a firm believer that all of us enter the planet with a calling and a purpose. And many of us never discover what that calling is and what that purpose is. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And when I was 9 years old, I had just gotten a brand spanking new Schwinn bicycle for my birthday. Beautiful bicycle. Back then, they were very expensive and they still are now. And I was in the playground and I was on the monkey bars. And this kid, about 15, 16 years old, his basketball rolled up to us. So I jumped off the monkey bars to hand him the basketball back, swatted the basketball, stole my brand spanking new bicycle. I go home, I told my mom, and she says, well, we're not buying you a new bicycle. And I said, okay, fine. I said, take me to the library. And she looked at me and she said, you are the most insane child that I have ever seen in my life. I said, do not argue with me. Take me to the library. I went to the library. I went through the yearbooks for every school in my county, found his photograph, made my parents take me to the police department, made my parents file a lawsuit against his parents, and the judge made his parents buy me a new bicycle, and I was 9 years old.
Answering the call. There you were. But you've been answering the call ever since then, too, haven't you?
I really, really have. I love what I do. And it's so interesting. I'm so excited to be with you and with Carl today because service comes in different capacities and caregiving comes in different capacities. And I was in law enforcement early in my career, and I made the segue out of law enforcement because I felt like that I couldn't really get personally involved with my cases like I can as a private investigator because I care. And when
And
you're
you're
giving
giving
information, if it's a homicide case or it's a missing persons case or it's a child that's looking for their birth parents or whatever, you have a responsibility that when you are delivering that information, it has to be delivered in a way where you're not devastating somebody's life, because sometimes it's very difficult for people to come back from really bad news and especially hardships. So for me, I think it's my ministry. It may sound a little crazy because somebody might say, how are you a private detective and that's your ministry? But it really is, Maggie and Carl. It's my ministry. It allows me to be the best at what I do, which I am. I'm not a very good private detective. I am one of the freaking fracking best private detectives in the country, and I know it. So it allows me to really be a blessing to people. And I've built relationships and I just love what I do. I love what I do.
Yeah, that passion really comes through loud and clear. As you mentioned being a caregiver, and you caregive by just helping so many people solve the crimes or the clues that they need to connect their lives and to complete their lives.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's why I love what I do so much. I worked well over 8,000 investigations, and I work every type of investigation that you could think of. Like I said, adoption cases, missing persons cases, homicide, arson, business due diligence, all kinds of interesting cases. And it's like what I said, I was so excited to be with you guys today because it really is about caregiving. I'll share with you all a really quick story. One of the most fascinating cases that I've ever worked was a father who multi millionaire, and he's in that horse stuff, the Kentucky Derby and all that. He's had some of those, Kentucky Derby winning horses and bippity bop. So his daughter was engaged to marry this doctor. And the father called me and he said, Monica, something's off here. Something's missing here. He said, I just want to make sure that everything is legit before my daughter marries this guy. And I said, okay, great. So I conduct the investigation. Very first day, I watched her, the daughter, drop him off at one of the hospitals here in Atlanta. And something said, just wait. And I did. I waited. She wasn't gone 5 minutes. He went in one door and came out the other and went down the street to the Starbucks and literally sat in the Starbucks for 6 hours. And I was like, what is going on here? So I went to the registrar's office. He's not registered there as a student. He's not a medical resident preparing to graduate from medical school. Come to find out, for 2 years, 2 years, he's wearing scrubs. He had a full 6 foot tall skeleton in their apartment. He had books on anatomy. He had been faking graduating from medical school for 2 years. That's how invested he was in this, because her family, very wealthy family. So I shared with them what I found out about him. He had a real serious mental health history. He had told her and her family that he didn't have any family, that his family was completely deceased. Found his mom and dad. He was ashamed of them because they were poor and they lived way out in the boondocks someplace. And the whole thing was a sham. It was just a sham. So the father said, look, I can't tell her this. We need to hold an intervention. And I said, okay. He said, Monica, you got to break the news to her. So they came down from Virginia, sat down with the family, and I proceeded to tell her, I said, honey, I'm not a wedding consultant, because they told her I was a wedding consultant. And I said, sweetie, I'm not a wedding consultant. I'm a private detective. I said, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but your fiance is a complete fraud, con, and a scammer. I said, he's not in medical school. He's been playing the con with you for 2 years. Before I could get that out, she completely fainted, passed out. Boom. So she's passed out on the floor. He walks in. He sees me, the black woman, the whole family who's white. She on the floor, passed out. The daddy calling 911. Her three brothers went running after him. They went out into the parking lot. I don't condone violence, you guys, but them boys beat his behind. They beat his butt in that parking lot. But what made me so happy about this story, about 4 months later, she called me. She said, can I meet with you? And I said, sure. She said, you don't understand how you blessed my life. She said, I've always dealt with self-esteem issues, and I was so eager to get married, and especially to a doctor, that I completely ignored the red flags. So she and I ended up becoming friends. I was able to get her into some counseling, some mental health counseling. So that's what I mean about, for me, it is caregiving. It's not just work the case, send you my invoice, bye. It really is about making sure that people can live happy, well-lived, full, productive lives.
We opened the door and you came through. God opened the door for you early on, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without restriction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carl, you got something to say? Come on.
I'm just, I'm really enjoying the conversation. When Monica and I spoke at first, we were only going on, she knew you, you knew her, and we didn't know each other at all. And
Right.
within minutes, you just find this kinship with somebody, and you think, wow, today's the first time we're seeing each other face to face. And so I'm just sitting back, just like staring at her face, like, I just love your face. There's so much honesty and realness in what I know of you, and everything that I'm seeing today reflects everything that I've known so far. So
Yeah.
just like I do my investigation also, you're perfect in my investigation.
The
That's
other
good to
thing
know.
I have to say, I used to have Monica on my show every now and then when she could work me in. And the one thing people would always call and say, well, how do I know so and so's lying? How do I know? And you always gave such great insights and tips to help, and then you would tell them regularly, go follow your gut.
Yes.
Follow, if your gut is telling you
Yeah.
something, pay attention. But you
Yes.
also shared ways for them to investigate themselves without having to do a whole lot. It's called paying attention, isn't it?
Absolutely. It really is. And
Mm,
especially in this culture now with social media. It's so
mm,
funny. I was did a town hall yesterday with one of the counties here, and hundreds of people came out. And that was one of the number one questions that I got from most of the citizens in that particular county is that how do we protect ourselves? How do we protect our children? Because I'm involved with human trafficking, as you guys know. I've been a human trafficking recovery agent for almost 15 years now. And human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. And here in Atlanta, the Hartsfield Jackson Airport is the number one airport in the country, not LAX, not Vegas, not New York, not
Not
LaGuardia, not
O'Hare.
JFK, not O'Hare. It is the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport, number one airport that the traffickers use to move survivor victims around the country. So I'm so passionate about it. And one of the tips that I give people, and it's really number one, Maggie, you hit it. I do not understand why people don't trust their gut and their intuition. You do not do the disservice of not trusting yourself. You know when something ain't right. If it doesn't feel right to you, go with it, absolutely go with it. And these days you really do have to do your research on people, especially with social media. You can't just assume because of the photographs that they're showing you that that's the real person. You can't go, if you go and you meet somebody, meet them in someplace safe. Don't meet somebody someplace where you don't know the area. Definitely don't ever make the mistake of leaving your food or your drink unattended. I worked an
mm,
investigation recently where the guy had sprinkled knockout dust on a girl's food and she didn't know it. And that's how he was able to basically, he raped her. But she was expecting something to possibly be in her drink, not her food. So these days, you
mm,
just have to be smart. Be smart. Check people out. If they tell you they work someplace, find out for sure if they really do work there. If you suspect that somebody
mm,
has mental health issues, there's ways that you can research to find out whether or not they do have mental health issues. Look at their social media. Found helped a lady the other day dating this wackadoodle. This dude had four different profiles. He's a wackadoodle. Four different profiles. Same dude, different names on all these different dating sites. And I found all four of them. She was speechless. She was like, oh, and it was using different names. I mean, I don't even know how he was keeping up with that foolishness. On one site, he was Bernard. On another site, he was Michael. And another site, he was Scott. Like, dude, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere, get out of here with that foolishness.
mm,
Yeah, yeah, very true. And nowadays there are so many, even like you were saying about social media, the fake
Mhm.
sites that are out there.
Oh my
People
goodness.
really have to pay attention.
Especially
And
shopping, all of it. Yep.
ooh, yes, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
definitely.
Yep.
Yeah,
They got so
just
many fake sites, it's not even funny. You have to test them.
yeah,
You really, really do because you can be thinking that you're shopping, and you're on a fake site and you put your credit card information in there. You're done. You're
yeah.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a call a couple of weeks ago telling me I'd won $750,000 from some American Dream Foundation. Well, while I was talking to him, I immediately started doing American Dream Foundation. Where are you all located? Las Vegas. Well, there is an American Foundation of Dreams or something like that in Las Vegas, but it ain't American Dream Foundation. And they
Right.
just kept talking.
mm.
And I thought, well, when's the next thing going to drop where I have to send them money? And sure enough,
Yeah.
5, 10 minutes in, I said, thank you so much for calling. But I'm going to turn, they said, well, if you don't take the money, we're going to have to turn it into somebody else or give it to charity. And I said, well, then give it to charity. I said, because you all are fake. And by the way, I will be reporting you to the FCC,
Absolutely.
because you
You're
can't call
better
people.
than me because usually, they'll be like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm a detective. I work in law enforcement, and I know that you are a fraudulent scamming site. So I've
But see,
recorded
I
this
wanted to
call.
get as much information as I could so that when I
Mhm.
called in, I had everything.
I
The
got you.
fake names, the
Mhm.
I
phone
got you.
numbers, go to this person. Here's our
I
attorney. But
I
I
don't have that much
Mhm.
patience. Oh my God. I
Mhm.
love
well,
you, Maggie, because I just have no
you got a
patience
real
for 'em,
job still,
girl.
Monica.
I
I got
chop
time
them
on
Mhm.
my
down,
hands.
chop them down so quick, like I'm a detective. I'm ready to
Mhm.
put your ass in jail. Oh.
I like what you said, that the part about trust your gut, because most people
Mhm.
know that there's something wrong, but they just don't trust their
Absolutely.
gut enough to know.
Absolutely.
I I have friends who are very logical thinking people who will tell me, I got this email from PayPal and I pushed this button, and I think, don't you? I mean, simple things like look where the email came from. And
Exactly.
if it came from PayPal, PayPal would never send you an email from a
Exactly.
Gmail account.
Ab- ab-
So look at where the email came from. But and you think that that's a common thing and people would get it, but I
Yeah.
talked to people and I said, didn't you? I mean, before I push any button, because I get at least 5 scam emails a day.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want me to
Oh, yeah.
push this button and put in your information. So I become a detective. I watch every detective show there is. So that's another reason how I found Monica. One Sunday morning, I'm having coffee, I'm watching TV One, and there's Monica giving out all the details. I'm like, you tell him, girl. That's what I would have found too.
Love
Because
it.
you
I mean,
get
I get so many replies from viewers, and I love it. I got a reply from a lady in Australia. She sent me the cutest. I don't know how, but she found me on Facebook, and she was like, "You don't understand. The information that you gave, you just helped us so much." And I'm like, "Okay, well, hallelujah. Tell the koalas I said hi." I mean, she's all the way in Australia.
That's funny.
but they have the same problems in Australia as they have here. That's just the whole
Yes,
thing. So
Yeah.
yes.
when you look at the information that you give, sometimes for you it's elementary. I give this information and it's elementary. You don't know how earth shaking that is for some people who have never considered. So yeah,
True.
Mhm.
you do a good job at what you do, and
Thank
Yeah.
I investigated you enough to know
Well, not only that,
that.
Carl, she speaks in plain English.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You get some people on and they want to tell you something, they using, words that have 29 letters in it and all this kind of stuff. It's like, Monica, plain speaking, let me tell you how to keep your behind clean and move
Absolutely.
forward.
I love that, Maggie. I mean,
Well, it's true.
seriously.
That's why I
Yeah,
used to love having you on.
yeah,
You don't
yeah.
mince words with people. And, every now and then I could hear you fighting. It's like, you fool. I could hear you fighting, not saying that. And you were always polite and respectful. But at times, mm,
You
it's
know
like
what?
using that.
I don't mind sharing this with your audience. I've been offered more TV shows than
Oh,
you guys have fingers and toes. And the reason that I don't have my own show, I mean, prayerfully something may be coming out latter part of this year, is that a lot of these people they do just what you said, Maggie. You have to be able to be real with people and
mhm.
be able to relay information in a way that you're relatable. I mean, when you come off with this pompous bullshit, how can you help somebody? Because one, they're not going to believe what you're saying, and
Right,
and people know real from bull crap. They just
right,
do,
right.
And I'm a straight shooter. If you want me to be somebody else, I don't go somewhere else. I can't help you. I don't know how to be anybody other than who I am.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's a keep it real kind of girl.
That's
So
it. 100%. Well, listen, tell people how they can get in touch with you other than, I you know, in the more formal way. Okay.
Okay, so on all social media platforms, the 007 Diva, you can find me there. Website is knowllc.net and info at knowllc.net. You guys can always reach out to me if you have any questions or even if you want direction. I get a lot of calls and emails from young people that want to get into investigations and things like that. It's my pleasure to guide and direct. I love being able to do that because it's a great field.
All right. Well, you have made this day very special. And, we will be talking more later.
Awesome.
All right. So give the contact. I want to hear it one more time. I know it'll
Okay.
be up in front of you when everything gets edited and done, but one more
Okay.
time.
So www.knowllc.net. You can go on the website and it has all our contact information. So you can call the office 888-926-7222 and you can reach me there as well.
All right. There you go. She is Miss Monica Morton,
Yeah.
PM,
Yeah.
and TV star and human trafficker. I mean, she can investigate, and
I
she
do it
does it
all. I do it
all.
all. All.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being part of my caregiver book because I love your voice and I'm so happy to have been able to hear it and to hear it personally and first seeing it, but now hearing it from you has just been a pleasure. So I look forward to our continued friendship.
Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. I'm so excited. And thank you guys again for the opportunity. This is amazing.
Oh, you are amazing. God
Thank
bless.
you.
All right.
Continued blessings.
Okay, so on all social media platforms, the 007 Diva, you can find me there. Website is knowllc.net and info@knowllc.net.